You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information. The views and opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily represent those of the network, its advertisers, owners, or sponsors.
Thank you for listening. This is episode 246 of the IT and the D Show, post Penguicon, pre Motor City Comic Con.
Way to stress test the pop faders there, Bob.
What?
The post Penguicon suffering
Wheaton. We have a pretty disjointed but awesome episode. Motor City Comic Con outdid themselves and lined us up with a bunch of guests and creators and voiceover actors from. We're just going to apologize in advance. If you're listening live, this episode is going to be all over the place, not just because we're all physically exhausted and brain dead from Penguicon, because we're trying to make the show flow and format with the guests that we have calling in and all that stuff. So stay with us, folks. It's going to be entertaining. Guests include Rob Paulsen. You might know him from the Smurfs, the Snorks, G.I. Joe, Pinky and the Brain, Animaniacs, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That should be a fun talk. We also got Robert Pope. He is a comic book artist for Looney Tunes and Peanuts. Garrett Wang. He is better known as Harry Kim from Star Trek Voyager. And last but not least, Steve Lieber. He is the graphic novel artist that did a book called Whiteout that was made into a movie in 2009 starring Kate Beckinsale. Should be fun.
Oh.
But hey, this episode is brought to you by our friends at F-Secure. With F-Secure Freedom of VPN, no one, not even your ISP, can see what you do online. Do us a favor, become private online. Try F-Secure Freedom VPN for free, no registration required at f-secure.com/IT in the D. That's f-secure.com/IT in the D. Use coupon code IT in the D to check out and get 20% off.
What kind of code is that?
Coupon.
There's no Q in that word. Still.
Coupon. Dave, you may fire when ready.
You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
Following program is intended for mature audiences.
I'm Wyatt, that's Gary, you're Bob, and you're Dave. This is the IT and the D Show.
This is Max Headroom. And what you're about to witness is one of the most sinister-sounding intros to a trailer to one of the greatest epics ever.
This is Billy D. Williams. Bob and Dave and I are enjoying a Colt 45 right now. And remember, IT in the D, it works every time.
Just where do you guys think you are? The Library of Congress? Detroit? Beyond the sun? Any of those, right?
Take him to Detroit. No! No, not Detroit! No! No, please! Anything but that! No!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Then don't come! Shut up!
Hi, this is Christy Swanson, and you're listening to the IT in the D Show. And Bob and Dave touch my hoo-hoos.
What happens when you tap the angry beaver in the bumhole?
Exactly. Come on. Christ. What the hell with this? I'm calling a break. We'll come back to the show.
This is Guilfoyle from Silicon Valley, and the only two guys I hate more than Dinesh are Bob and Dave. Suck it, guys.
What's up, everybody? This is Billy Zapka. Sweep the leg. Listening to IT and the D Show. No mercy.
I may have to wipe the heat off.
Hi, this is Kelly LeBrock from Weird Science. So, Bob and Dave, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
Are we at a break yet?
Hey, everybody, this is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. You're listening to IT and the D. And if you want to get your money's worth, stay right here. And remember, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
Hi, I'm Ernie Hudson, and you're listening to IT and the D. All you nerds out there.
Nerds.
Nerds.
What is a nerd?
I'm a nerd, and I'm pretty proud of it.
Hey, Detroit, this is Anthony Michael Hall. You're listening to my buddies Bob and Dave on IT in the D.
This is Scott Steiner, Big Pump. The IT and the D Show is your hookup. Holler if you hear me.
Hey, what up? This is Jay Muse, and you're listening to the IT and D Show. Snooch to the nooch. Listen, Muse, Snoogans.
Hey, everybody, this is Tony Todd. What's happening? You may know me from Candyman, The Rock, Sushi Girl, Zoom, Night of the Living Dead. A lot of pop culture media madness. Anyway, you're listening to IT in the D Show. Business.
I'm totally into Dave, but not so much Bob.
This is Robert Hayes, a Ted Stryker to my mother. When I'm not hanging out at the Magumbo bar, I'm listening to the IT and the D show. It's worse than Detroit.
Hi, this is David Kay, the voice of Megatron from Beast Wars. Excellent, yes.
And, of course, Clank from Ratchet and Clank.
And Grandpa Max from the new Ben 10. Yes, Professor Xavier from X-Men Evolution. Storm! Logan, where is Storm? Storm! Come here, Storm. Sit on my lap, Storm. Yes. You're listening to IT and the D. Don't go away.
Hey, folks, this is WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and you're listening to the IT and the D show. Tough guy. Oh!
Hi, this is Bruce Pritchard. You're listening to, what the hell, the IT and the D show? What kind of name is that? But just in case you were wondering, I do love you.
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
The question isn't what are we going to do, the question is what aren't we going to do.
Ludicrous speed! Sir, had you better buckle up? Buckle this! Ludicrous speed! Go!
What is going on? Welcome. Thank you for listening. This is episode 246 of the IT and the D Show, broadcasting live here in Studio One in Podcast Detroit in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. This is Bob the Sales Guy. That is Dave the Geek. Nuri the FNG is in the house. Randy, I do the Twitter's Walker, is also in the house. Find us online.
Let's be honest, we're all barely in the house.
It's the post Penguicon, pre Motor City Comic Con edition of the IT and the D Show. Find us on itandthed.com. Give us a like on the social and subscribe to us everywhere fine podcasts are sold.
IT and the D is brought to you by Udemy, the largest marketplace for online learning. Whether you want to learn something new or just sharpen your skills, Udemy has an extensive library of over 65,000 courses taught by expert instructors. Ever find yourself thinking, I wish I could do that? With Udemy, you can. From web development to digital marketing to Japanese cooking courses, Udemy has something for everyone. While other online companies charge hundreds of dollars per class, Udemy courses start at just $11.99. Plus, each course comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee for risk-free learning. Every day, students around the world choose Udemy to discover new passions, expand their skills, and even change careers. Improve your life through learning. Download the Udemy app to learn anytime, anywhere, or visit www.ude.my/itandthed today. That's www.ude.my/itandthed.
It's a cool thing.
Yeah, I wrote the Japanese cooking courses. Fill water up
Ramen.
to wine, open pouch, microwave for 2 minutes. It's a beautiful class. You should take it.
I taught how to make sushi this weekend at Penguicon.
No, I know. I heard it was awesome.
Oh, yeah. Did Shipped work out? Did you wind up using it?
Did. Some dude showed up and he sent me text messages the entire way.
So I'm talking to Nuri outside at 9:30 in the morning, and he's looking a little rough.
Oh my God, I was like,
I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I gotta get my rice cooker. I'm like, dude, what? And he's like, I gotta go shopping. And I'm like, dude, just use Shipped. And he was like, really?
Because no, hold on. We got to preface this by saying I woke up at 10 a.m. after going to bed at probably 6 a.m.
Right.
And I was still drunk. I got in my car and I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to have to freaking Uber back to my own house.
I should not be driving right now.
So I Ubered home to get the stuff, Ubered back, and then I ran into you.
Yep.
I'm like, I got to go shopping. You're like, no, you Shipped.
Yeah.
2 hours it was there. Shipped should be paying us for sponsorship.
Oh, dude, as much as I used them this weekend, oh yeah, you have no idea. So hey, we did stuff this weekend.
Yeah,
we did.
Well, mark your calendars.
Oh yeah. So before we dive into what's coming up or what we did, so we've got our podcaster meetup is taking place this Thursday. That's May 10th. We're over up the street here at Selena's, the little sports bar we hang out at.
Madison Heights, 11 Mile.
Yep. So make sure you get your ass there. And then the 17th, we've got our IT and the D casual networking social over at Embrew. Love that place. We'll be downstairs by the pinball machines again.
That's in Ferndale.
It is. And then Motor City Comic Con is right after that, and we've got the Merit Network Conference right before that. We're going to be all the places doing all the things, never sleeping ever.
Does the fun ever start?
Just mother of God. It did this weekend.
Penguicon, once again, I think lived up to every expectation that I've been used to now. For 4 years now, we've been attendees. 1 year passive attendees, and then the last 3 years we've been pretty active. This past Penguicon, we did 8 panels? Like you did a couple more than I did.
I did 10 on Saturday.
I just did 6. I feel like I'm a slacker.
And on top of that, we threw our infamous 80s party, which was basically Friday and Saturday, 5 hours of nothing but 80s music, keg beer from Falling Down, and our health and mana. This one was the Star Wars drinks.
It was the Luke, Vader, Yoda going with the lightsaber colors, blue, red, green this time.
For those that want the recipe to our amazing cocktail, it's 1 bottle High C, 1 bottle of vodka.
1 half-gallon vodka, 1 gallon Hawaiian punch.
So that's why I poured out the little bit that I poured myself. Got it.
I remember Jessica goes, "It's really strong," and I'm like, "Good." You complaining about that?
I did. It was hilarious that I ran into somebody at one point that was when I was downstairs having a smoke, who was like, "Look, guys, I love you and I love your party and it's friggin' amazing. But I had to go down the hall to this other party because, well, there was nobody there and it was quieter and their drinks are just weaker."
That too. But I mean, honestly, you probably, if you haven't listened to us talk about Penguicon, it's an open source conference. And what I mean open source, not necessarily the software, but community driven, all the content's community driven. There's a couple of guests of honor, but mainly they're authors. It's not like you're like a Motor City Comic Con. It's to me, and they focus on, there's something for everyone. I was trying to explain it to a few people that I go, if you're into sushi making, you can go see Nuri. If you into coding or Ubuntu or Linux, you can go to that conference or go to that. If you're into dating, it's all about life and technology, and it's a beautiful mesh of all of it.
I say it's basically like if an anime convention and a legitimate tech conference had a baby. This would be the illegitimate baby of that, because it's the most irreverent tech conference you've ever been to, but also everything else. 500 hours of programming. Yep. Nobody gets paid to be there. Not even the people we fly in that are talent from across the world. Everyone's doing it out of the goodness of their heart because they like the community and they want to teach somebody something.
Oh yeah, well, it's
only kind that feeds people.
Well, yeah, it's what I've always told people is that so you've got Motor City, which is phenomenal and we love, and it's coming up, but that's marketing and PR. Penguicon is content.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the huge difference.
And when you talk about like you're paying it's a $60 weekend ticket, and you can go eat anytime you want. They, by people that are staffing and like decent food. You want an apple, you want a sandwich, you want some water.
Taco bar one night, pizza the next. Like
no one does. No one does.
No cons do that.
And to me, I'm still surprised hotels let you not only open
do what we do
3 floors for room parties, but then have housekeeping come up and bringing ice and towels and making sure we're good.
Huge, enormous, gigantic shout out to the staff at the Westin in Southfield. Those guys and ladies were absolutely freaking amazing all weekend long. They were at our hotel door every 30, 45 minutes with another giant ass rack full of trays of ice and towels and whatever else we thought we needed. Could not have had a better experience.
We ended up handing out almost 1,000 wristbands, or did we hit 1,000?
A little over.
A little under. 955 wristbands.
955 wristbands.
Which basically means that half of the attendees at Penguicon, we had a roughly, I think we said we had 1,700 or so. So more than half the attendees stopped by the room party.
Well, yeah, and shout out to all the people that kept their wristband from Friday night, because I saw there was a lot of that going on. Right. People were walking around Saturday morning and were like, "Yeah, I just left it on in the shower."
They're Tyvek.
I'm like, well, hey, at least you showered.
Exactly.
Also, thank you for showering.
Right. Went through 2 kegs. Went through 37.
Okay,
let's
be clear. We went through 2 half barrels.
Half barrel. Sorry.
It's not the normal 6 kegs that we lumber around to places. Wow.
Seriously, that's a lot of beer.
That's a lot of beer.
Each one is 1,984 ounces. So we did 3,800 ounces of beer.
Mother of God!
I drank half of that. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't.
Yeah, no, you were
close.
You were dipping hard in the Crown Apple and everything else. Yeah, let's be honest. But no, I mean it was. I mean, and it's like I said. I mean, I did panels on everything from The Internet Before the Web, with Mike Lucas, who's a guy that worked for me 20 years ago and now is like a very well-known author, in the tech scene, which was just outstanding. We had a blast with that. I did a panel with Nuri and Jer Lance about, tech interviewing demystified, about basically how not to suck at going for a job. We did our, 10 Commandments of Networking shtick. We tried the dating corollary.
Podcasting.
The accidental entrepreneur. We did there was a lot of fun. We did so much. It was so much fun.
No, and we learned a lot that things we should and shouldn't do. I mean, it's like this whole thing is an evolving process.
Right.
And I walked 7 miles per day starting on Thursday through Sunday. I did 7 miles, never left the hotel. 17,000 steps, average of 34 floors of stairs climbed a day.
That's insane.
And that was just, full disclosure, I was the hotel liaison, so I was running back and forth like a chicken with my head cut off. But yeah, I ran my ass off all weekend. It's amazing. Can't wait for next year.
So, getting out of Penguicon, I did something I never thought I was going to do. I swore I wasn't going to do it.
Vote for a Democrat?
No. Hit the bell.
Why do we? Oh, it's in front of you.
Facebook says I'm a liberal, by the way, so kiss my ass. I subscribe to YouTube Red. I didn't think I was going to do it. Didn't want to do it.
I love it.
I haven't watched you yet. I'm gonna punch you if you ruin this for me.
No, I absolutely won't.
Okay.
But I buried Cobra Kai. I watched every episode in succession. My wife got roped in around episode 3, and it's nothing short of perfect.
Good.
Like I went into it thinking it was going to be really bad, like home produced garbage. No.
No, it looks solid.
It was completely legit. I love the way they wrote it, and that's all I'm going to say. They gave you everything you wanted and more, and they opened up season 2 where you don't want to get rid of YouTube Red now. Because I'm like, all right, cool, I'll just cancel YouTube Red.
It's a trap.
And they roped you in hard at the very end. I'm like, oh my God.
And when is season 2 supposed to start?
I don't know.
Jackasses.
Yeah, it's gonna be like Westworld, like 3 years later.
I listen to a lot of music on YouTube because a lot of people put songs out there before they hit Beatport or before they hit wherever. And I just got so sick and tired of the ads that I went ahead and paid for YouTube Red, and I haven't turned back.
When they announced Cobra Kai, I subscribed.
Awesome.
Because I knew I was going to want it, and there was no question about it, and it was going to have to happen.
Well, not only that, the app can play in the background, which it should have done anyway.
That's the part I love.
And now I think figuring out how to not do that was probably the technical marvel here, right?
Right.
Everything does by itself.
No, very true. So I guess, oh God, which one do we even want to do? You know what? This one kind of creeps me out because dude, Facebook wants to get into the dating scene.
Who knows you better than Facebook, though, Dave?
I would hope you guys.
Well,
you don't lie to Facebook.
So here's
yeah, I do.
Here's the thing that it was originally set up for dating. It was to find out who's not dating anyone.
There's books of faces.
No.
Right.
Well, the precursor. That was basically the early
original,
hot or not.
The absolute original was I'm going to find out who's single and I'm going to put a little thing.
When it was the Facebook.
Right. But now they want to get into the whole Match.com game. And the funny thing is Zuckerberg made some comments like, oh, we're not going to be creepy about it. And we're not going to, it's like, who are you fooling?
We believe you. Sure we do.
To be honest, Facebook probably knows exactly the one person you should be dating anyway. So I don't know why they're making a whole app and going through the whole rigmarole.
The people they suggest to me are absolutely freaky. Right? It's like, you're right.
So,
how did you know that I know this person? Like, it's those connections and the amount of data that they have about you. It's got to be an amazingly good match.
Dude, what the hell is wrong with me? I'm totally segueing for a sec. Huge, ginormous, amazing shout out to Kelly O'Hara, Bebop Art. For the love of God, if we're not friends on Facebook and you didn't see this picture, I'll try to post it on the Podcast Detroit page when I think of. I told Kelly last year at Motor City Comic Con, hey, I want you to take this movie poster from the Cannonball Run and I want you to Podcast Detroit it for me. Holy shit. Did she do the most amazing job I've ever seen in my life.
Dave pulled it out at Penguicon and showed me, and I almost doubled over in amazement. I'm like, holy shit, I've been canonized.
That's right. You are Roger Moore on the Cannonball Run poster.
I look so much better in that than I do in real life too.
I get to be Dom DeLuise go figure.
I'll tell you, Bob, why how come I got 30 extra pounds and you got a chiseled chin? What the
Whatever works.
I like Dave, but I'm not that into Bob.
Right. So Bebop Art. Oh my God, check out Kelly's stuff. She did such a great job.
So Nuri, your favorite company went out of business.
I actually made a really good Cambridge Analytica joke in closing ceremony at Penguicon.
Right.
But they closed all their U.S. offices and but they also have another company.
I was going to say, it's going to come back rebranded as something else.
Everybody who worked at Cambridge Analytica left and started a new company called Emerdata.
But that was not recently. That was like months ago, right? They see the writing on the wall and basically like,
this has been brewing for a while.
How do you rebrand Cambridge Analytica? Like, how do you change that? Oh, we're just a happy fun company who've pivoted.
Right.
You call it Big Data Analytics Cloud.
It's Rambridge Canalytica.
So my favorite story of the week by a long shot is it's kind of like the Rain Man of this guy watched The Price is Right, taped the episodes, made cards of all the prices.
So it's the old Mike Larson story.
Right.
From Pressure Luck.
Oh, yeah, where he figured out
the
algorithm.
Guy, yeah.
So this guy literally figured out, it wasn't necessarily
him and his wife,
an algorithm, but he did memory cards.
Well, because they figured out the pricing on the products is almost always the same.
Right, and it's within this window.
Yep, right.
And then the one time he guessed on the last, it was like always 20,000 and something.
Yeah, because he figured out the showcase products, like you can't remember what the exact prices were because the showcase prices changed, but they were always within like depending on type of stuff there, this is the average price of what's always there.
So they give you a $250 up and down, or no, just a $250 down.
Yeah.
You get both. He nailed the price. I mean, granted, it's a random selection to get on the show.
Oh yeah, and the story documented like he was basically had to try to get in a couple times because I mean you have to get picked to be on. So yeah.
So this one guy made them change how they do the entire show process and how they price things and how they do stuff. Kudos to that guy, man. Again, it's kind of like card counting at casinos. It's like just because the guy's good and counts cards, like you throw him out. Like no, you lose. Like someone just beat you.
Yeah.
So
and I think Drew Carey's response was probably the best. He's like, I mean, he nailed the final showcase to the exact number, which he said was not random. He knew it was some number between something and something, and he chose like his wife's birthday.
So he knew it was like 23,000 was a safe number,
right?
And then 7 was like his birthday, and 43 was like his wife's age or something.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you seen Prices Right lately? Have you watched an episode? Have you been like sick or something?
Drew Carey looks so good. Man.
He's weird, man. He's starting to become Bob Barker. Like, it's bizarre. He's got the same glasses. Like, he's getting skinny, like really skinny.
Did you say spay or neuter your pets?
I was going to say, don't say spay or neuter your pets. Yeah.
I was sick one day and watched it. I'm like, oh my God, come here, look, he's weird. Here's the thing that's driving me nuts lately. I'm getting 4 or 5 of these calls again a day where it's the area code and the same 6
and your prefix,
and my prefix, the same 6 numbers and then something else. I'm not answering them now. In the bebeginning, I
decline and block them.
So the stat came out that last month, 3.4 billion robocalls were logged.
3.4 billion with a B?
In a month, yes.
Jesus.
And so now the FCC is trying to figure out how they, I guess, categorize or classify what a robocall is. But they're ridiculous. Like I get, you know how many student loan calls I get, and I've never taken out a student loan in my life?
Dude, the ones that crack me up is the ones I answer like, and it sounds like you can tell it's a recording, but it's supposed to sound like someone going, "Hey, is this Michael?"
The thing that gets me though is I have 2 phone numbers. One is a Seattle phone number. One is a New York City phone number. Places I've lived, and they both ring to my phone. Magic of Google Voice, whatever.
Right.
I have been getting daily calls that are in Chinese, and I looked this up, and apparently they are. Scammers that are preying on Chinese people living in the United States that have immigrated to the United States or here on visas or whatever, saying that they have screwed up and pissed off the Chinese government by doing some kind of online ordering and they need to press 1 to be connected to someone. Sends them back to a Chinese speaker, and the scam is apparently so incredibly it works because it's preying on their fears.
Right.
But every day it's the same. I pick it up and it's someone in Chinese and it's either from a New York City or from a Seattle number. And apparently this is a big deal. QZ did an article on it a few weeks ago.
Obviously they must be working if they're continuing to do them. That's the thing I don't get.
The ones that get me are the ones that spoof your neighborhood. So like your area code and exchange are the same and then the last 4 digits are different.
Well, that's what Bob was saying. It's the same area code and prefix.
You know how easy to do that though? Like any guy with a SIP trunk and like a shitty laptop can do this.
Craziness. So I think I want to go to Vegas soon. I haven't been there in a while.
Oh, just because to play with Lyft?
Yeah, totally.
They deployed what? 30 self-driving cars?
30 self-driving cars are going to be on the Las Vegas Strip.
Johnny Cab.
Yeah.
How does it find you, though? That's what I've wondered. Like, it pulls up near your phone and it just, sits there and honks its horn until somebody shows up and gets in?
No,
How does it know it's you? Like,
yeah, no, that's a great point. Do you have to QR code scan, just like room party voting? Cheap. But no, I mean, is it
step to the left, step to the left?
Right. Are you going to get, no, it's like press one. Like, are you like the app's going to like,
no, it'll be, me in Toledo. I'll just get into the wrong one and, get taken for a ride.
But can you imagine if you're schnockered and there's no one driving, how freaked out, if you're stoned, how freaked out you're going to be? Like,
and it's Vegas.
Right.
So the odds are
Stop
pretty
at the red
high.
light. Oh my God. What's happening? Like, literally, I would. Like,
or you're drunk and you pass out in the back of it. Who's going to be there to wake you up?
Then you end up in a shipping container on the way to a private island.
Oh, that guy! I remember that guy. That guy yelled at me heavy. Like that one time you pushed me in after Smalls. Like, we're here. Like, oh my God, what happened?
Sorry.
What happened?
Sorry.
Yeah, was I drooling?
Didn't mean it, sir.
Right. And then,
so an interesting story that NPR there was a whole like Pocket Casts got bought, which is a podcast app for those of you who don't know. But they bought Pocket Casts, and like people seem to be really surprised by this.
No,
and I don't understand why.
No,
like
you want to know why it's not? It's smart. They put their crap on top.
Well, not only that, but I mean, it's everybody. You read the message boards and the forums and all that shit. And everybody's like, oh, my podcast has an app. Yeah, great. You know what? So does everybody else who hosts with Libsyn because they do it for you for free. We used to have an IT in the D app that, we haven't touched or talked about or done anything with in 3 years ever since we started the network because, well, it's all about consolidation. The whole one podcast, one app thing is ridiculous because people are listening to a lot of podcasts. There's not 87 podcasts that all deserve real estate on my phone.
Oh, and not just that. Nobody's doing it perfect. Pocket Cast is probably the only ones that are close to doing it perfect, where you can categorize.
Right.
You can keep track. There's no, the person that comes out with the one that knocks out or nails all the things that people want to do is going to be the king of that castle.
And the interesting thing about that, though, for me, is that someone's spending real money on podcasting. Someone from traditional media is doing something to pivot into that. They say that Edison Research said that 73 million Americans listen to podcasts monthly, according to 2018 data. So I think people are starting to figure out, like, hey, people don't listen to the radio anymore. Yeah. We've got to do this and do it quick.
It's 1 in 4? If I'm doing the math right?
73 million Americans. Yeah, it's 280 million Americans.
It's, 1 in 3, 1 in 4. Yeah, 1 in 4.
1 in 4. And that's
4.5. Yeah,
that's people. It's not even adults. That's wow.
Insane.
It is.
Wow.
Good.
So what do we want to yak about?
I want to talk about Mr. Elon Musk.
Okay.
So everyone deals with contractors. IT is a hotbed for, people on contract or not working directly for the employer.
Some companies I've worked for, pretty much half of the staff there were contingent staff.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, 'cause my phone died, but Musk basically got rid of every contractor that works for Tesla.
He's planning to purge them and basically says he sent an email out to employees and said that the contractors are not allowed in, and the only way to keep them if a Tesla employee will vouch for them.
How bizarre is that?
Or at least vouch for their work. Yeah.
Right. Can't their work vouch for itself? I mean, seriously, or their manager? How bizarre is that?
The email itself that they obtained, supposedly, anyone who does not have a Tesla employee putting their reputation on the line for them will be denied access to putting their reputation on the line. Basically, that's your career, right? So if you say that contractor is doing great work and he doesn't, then they fire you, maybe?
Well, I mean, it's one of the reasons why companies do the refer somebody, because it's kind of like, hey, if this guy says this guy's okay, sometimes you turn out bad and they just say, hey, it didn't work out. But this is taking this thing to a way other level.
It's pretty nuts.
That I've never even heard of. And you wonder, like, guys like that, like the Zuckerbergs and the Elon Musk, like at one point are they just losing their mind?
Right.
Like,
he signed the email time to scrub off the barnacles too.
Good
nice.
God.
Yeah.
Hey,
Right.
so I hear Oscar Mayer finally found a way to get you involved in Bitcoin, Bob.
This is absolutely brilliant. I've watched the price steadily drop actually over the show. It has.
So wait, where does the bacon? Hold on. Okay, so explain it.
Yeah. So it's like the whole Bitcoin concept, except it's not redeemable for cash. It's redeemable for strips of bacon.
Right. Where do you get where does the bacon come from? They mail it to you?
It comes from the factory, Bob.
I know.
The pigs.
Pigs.
So there's something called a Baycoin, and their website for Baycoin actually tracks the price. The price fluctuates during the day. Right now, 1 Baycoin equals 3 BCNs, or bacons, or strips of bacon. So you can actually redeem these to get bacon shipped to you.
How do you get 3 strips of bacon? That seems counterproductive to me.
Really. Today at 2 a.m. it hit a high of 14 slices. So 1 Baycoin for 14 bacons, but now it's as low as 3.
How much is a Baycoin?
I have no idea.
So how do you get these coins?
Also have no idea.
So that was if you've been
story.
I don't want to. Spoiler alert for Silicon Valley. If you're not caught up, they tried to do an ICO. So they're mocking this whole thing. Like
nice.
They're doing an initial coin offering. Yeah.
I do think one of my favorite moments during a panel this weekend was when we were doing our podcasting 101 thing with Bay, and I forget what show he's on.
Bay's
Bay's People of Color.
People of Color, yeah.
Great guy. Had a ton
Absolutely.
of fun. Had a ton of fun talking with him. And some jackass decided when we had opened things up for Q&A that he was going to try to take over our panel. To try to push and promote his shitty sound engineering business. And I just looked at him, I listened to him ramble for 30, 45 seconds. And I just finally went, dude, seriously, if you're trying to take over our panel to try to push your own shit, I'm going to hand you one of these cool story bro ribbons that I had made, and I'm going to kick you out.
That guy sat there for 55 minutes to do a crummy sales pitch.
Hoping to, yeah.
All he had to do was say hi afterwards.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's the thing. And he tried to after, and then I would know. Now you burn that.
I saw him in the
bridge,
hallway, and I totally looked away.
Yeah, I know you're dead to me.
I want red sticker. See my red sticker? You can't talk to me.
Actually, the bacon thing, you register on their website and you register for a chance to win. You share it on social media, you get additional chances to win.
And sharing it on social media also increases the value of the Baycoin. So the more you share it, the more value it has. So everybody could get free bacon.
So can we pump and then dump on that coin or no?
It sounds like something we may want to try out.
I like bacon.
I like bacon.
Who doesn't like bacon?
By the way, that's the other good shit, dude. The Weston knows how to make some bacon.
Yeah.
Like that was okay.
I wasn't up early enough for breakfast buffet.
I appreciate the breakfast buffet that they put out, but the bacon was the best.
I woke up quick at about noon. You know, that was my everything. Yeah. Thought that I had to be in Compton soon. Yeah, exactly. But hey, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna
wait. So this is go ahead.
We're gonna be back. We got interviews with Rob Paulsen, which is sounds like an amazing guy. Did the voices basically of our childhood, Animaniacs, Pinky in the Brain. Robert Pope wrote Looney Tunes and Peanuts comics. Garrett Wang from Star Trek Voyager, Steve Lieber. Should be a great time. This is the IT and the D show.
Well, so, I mean, those are all guests. They're going to be at Motor City Comic Con. And so Motor City Comic Con takes place at the Suburban Collection Showplace in Novi. It is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the 18th, 19th, and 20th. You can, event tickets and all the information, all the guests and everything. You can go to MotorCityComicCon.com. Go ahead and check out their website. You can follow, Motor City Comic Con on Facebook. They're Motor City Comic Con. Or on Twitter. They are MOT City Comic Con, because Twitter has that limitation on length of name you can have. It should be very, very cool. We've had a blast every year. We'll be there with our booths and set up, and we've got a lot of the folks from here planning on coming out and doing live broadcasts and all that kind of fun stuff, so it should be good.
This is the IT and the D show.
And we'll be right back.
IT in the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit, one beer at a time.
Hey, this is John Schneider from Nip Tuck, Smallville, the haves and the have-nots. Oh, Dr. Quinn, Hot in Cleveland, Secret Life of the American Teenager, and just about everything you can possibly imagine. And oh yeah, the Dukes of Hazzard. You're listening to Bob and Dave. It's the IT in the D show.
ITinthed.com.
Welcome back. This is the one and only IT in the D show, often imitated, never duplicated. This is the post Penguicon hungover pre-planning for Motor City Comic Con.
I'm still just tired as all hell.
Hey, so RX Bar is a whole food protein bar made with a few simple, clean ingredients which all serve a purpose. Egg whites for protein, dates to bind, nuts for texture. And in the interest of full transparency, all the core ingredients are labeled right on the front of the package. There's no BS. They're perfect for breakfast on the go, a snack at the office, to throw in your bag for a bike ride, a hike, traveling, anything. I'm not going to lie, I kind of wish I would have had a couple of these with me throughout the weekend. Seems like it would have been.
I bring Builder's bars with me everywhere I go, and beef jerky and almonds. This sounds awesome.
Yeah, so better yet, beyond it being a go-to snack that checks off a number of nutritional boxes, RX bars actually taste delicious. I'm not gonna lie, I got the peanut butter ones. I love them. The kids are all about them.
And that's the thing. A lot of these bars that I get do not taste good.
Yeah.
So if your kids are eating them, they've got to be great.
No,
most of them are chalky and like they're just
What's it taste like? Coaster?
Right.
Not these. So hey, for 25% off your first order, visit rxbar.com/IT and enter promo code IT at checkout. That's rxbar.com/IT, promo code IT for 25% off your first order, or as Randy said, it looks more like 26%. Just go with it.
Whatever works.
Oh, and I believe we actually have our caller already. So
beautiful.
Hey, this is Dave with the IT and the D Show. Who we got?
Hi, this is Rob Paulsen here.
How are you, sir?
Hi, I'm supposed to be calling at you guys at 6:05. I'm sorry, 9:05 your time. I'm a little bit late.
You're totally fine.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Given your career and the number of drops we're going to probably pay you to do for us this week, next weekend, perfectly acceptable.
Hey, man, thanks a lot, you guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. So it said you were born you're a Detroit boy originally, yes?
I am. I was born in Detroit, lived in Livonia, Dearborn, Rochester, went to high school in Grand Blanc, and relatives in Grayling and Harper Woods and Ypsilanti and oh my God, all over the place. Yeah, I'm a total Michigan guy.
I was about to say you're probably the only cool thing that's ever happened in Livonia.
Well, I don't know, man. Mike Modano is from Livonia, and I'm a big hockey nut. In fact, I even got my Red Wings T-shirt on today.
Nuri's not a big hockey fan. That's not a thing with him. So I guess talk to me. So we got Motor City Comic Con coming up here, not this weekend but next weekend. So I guess talk to me about the life of a voice actor. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it seems pretty freaking cool.
You know what it is. I am, with all due respect to Lou Gehrig, I'm the luckiest man on the face of the earth. I'm now on my way back home. I just got done directing. I'm now directing a new show. It's actually yet another incarnation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, on which I was fortunate enough to be Raphael in the original batch. And then the cool thing about my gig is nobody cares what I look like. So 25 years later, I got hired to be Donatello on a version of the show that just finished a 5-year run on Nickelodeon. And now there's a new one coming out, and I'll be damned, they hired me to direct it. So I just finished that.
Hey, that's beautiful, man. It's our shtick. We have faces for radio. That's how we do.
I hear you. I'm the same way. Like I said, nobody cares what I look like, tall, short, and it was a great thing at the beginning of my career too, because I, like, everybody else in this business, came out here to do TV and music. I was a singer who became an actor, and when you get here, you realize pretty quickly that there are a million average-looking kids from Michigan or wherever. And and if you fit the suit, you get the gig, whatever. But I started getting a chance to audition for animation after I'd been here for 4 or 5 years, and I thought, oh my God, this is great. I'm getting to work with people whom I grew up watching and listening to, and they're all doing animation, and I started getting hired for things that I would never in a million years have been considered for on camera, and it didn't matter whether or not I would fit the suit. So it didn't take me very long to think, God, this is the gig, and I get to sing, and I get to do dialects and all that. So I gradually phased it out, and fortunately my ego was able to take the fact that I wasn't going to be recognized, but now it's come full circle, and they still don't care what I look like. And so it really is a wonderful way to make a living, and my timing was excellent because animation just exploded when I was really getting involved. And so here we are, and now as a result of these cool Comic-Con things that are springing up like zits on a 12-year-old all over the world, I get to go around the world and meet people who grew up watching Turtles and Pinky and the Brain and Animaniacs and The Tick and Biker Mice from Mars and Jimmy Neutron and Fairly Odd Parents and Tiny Toons and DuckTales and Goof Troop, all this stuff that I got to work on. And now there's Reboot Mania, and people are all excited about new Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain with Steven Spielberg, no less, again. So I'm a pretty fortunate fellow. It's a great gig.
So, Rob, let's talk about the important stuff. I mean, Dave and I are in our mid-40s. You were the voice of Snowjob and Tripwire on G.I. Joe. That was like, it couldn't have been a bigger part of my youth.
They were like, oh, yeah, talk to him about Pinky and the Brain. Talk to him about the Animaniacs. No, G.I. Joe, hi.
No. You were on the...
Listen,
Marco Smurf on the Smurfs. You were Boober on Fraggle Rock. I mean, like, seriously, you spoke to my youth more than 1,000 times, probably.
It really is not only a huge gift to me to be able to make a living doing essentially what got me in trouble in 7th grade at West Junior High School in Rochester, but the thing that's really great now is kind of what I spoke about just a few seconds ago, and that is that I get to go around the country like I'll be doing at Motor City Comic Con. That's a special one because of course I'm pure Michigan, baby. But what's really great is that when people find out what I do, all it does is make them smile, either as a result of nostalgia, which is a very powerful emotion in all of us, or I often meet people who say a couple of things. Either, oh my God, you're Snowjob, you're Pinky, you're Haji on Johnny Quest, you're all these characters. I just had a blast, watching all those shows when I was a kid. Or I meet people who come up to me and they, in a very serious tone, they'll say, dude, but for those shows, my childhood would have been a mess. My parents got a divorce, or my mother was ill, or my father, was sick, whatever. My dad lost his job, whatever. And it turns out that these shows, mine and others and other friends of mine, we had no idea the extent to which people are so deeply touched by these characters. And I swear to God, I never in a million years would have known that. It goes beyond action figures or money or ratings. It is a pure expression of love for these characters. And let me make it clear, man, I don't draw them and I don't write them. I'm just the actor and the singer. But I'm the one that gets to go out and meet folks. And I swear to God, I never knew how deeply people were touched by these characters. And it is a remarkable, never-ending, incredible gift to me and my colleagues. And it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, I'm slightly younger than Bob and Dave. I'm 35, and so my generation was really that of Pinky and the Brain. And I went back the other night with a bunch of friends, and we rewatched all those episodes and thought how we were so privileged as children to be basically watching brilliant writing, brilliant voice acting, directed by Steven Spielberg as children.
Shut up, right?
Right?
I know. I know. Let me tell you something. You have incredible taste in cartoons, my friend. See, that's what you're doing right now is what happens all the time. And I'm telling you, it never is taken for granted by me and the people who do what we do, because it is utterly joyful. And you're right. Pinky and the Brain and Animaniacs in particular were really brilliant shows. The music was incredible. I got to sing so many ridiculous songs. My friend Maurice LaMarche, who is the Brain, in addition to his incredible work on that show, he's won back-to-back Emmys, primetime Emmys for Futurama. He does 8 or 9 different characters on that show. But those shows in particular were really our sort of golden age of animation because Mr. Spielberg and all the folks who put that show together, Tom Ruegger and Gene McCurdy and the folks at Warner Brothers, they cut their teeth on Rocky and Bullwinkle and Looney Tunes. And those shows were very similar in that they were absolutely, utterly written to appeal to an audience on 2 or 3 different levels. The edict from Mr. Spielberg was always don't condescend. They might like it when Brain bonks Pinky on the head, and that's what makes the kids laugh. But Mom and Dad are laughing at a very hip cultural reference. And the proof is in the pudding, because 20 odd years later, you kind of go, oh my God, I totally get this joke. Or I listen to this music again and you go, this is brilliant. 40-piece orchestra for every half hour. And now, Mr. Spielberg, who has obviously done what he's done, and he is who he is, and he is his legacy and his, being the king of Hollywood is solidified. So here he says, you know what? I think we should do more of these. Who wants to do them? And Hulu said, we will.
I'm sure it was a yes, please.
Right.
Yeah. But to be able to be involved and be around and see people of 2 and sometimes 3 generations come up to me and say, oh my God, Ninja Turtles, I still got all my turtle stuff. And now my kids are watching it and we share the experience. Or I just turned my kids on to Animaniacs and they can't stop singing United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru. And it's such an incredible experience. And
I grew up with Animaniacs too.
If you could only see the nerdgasm that just happened in the studio.
I love that song. I still have the first verse memorized, but
it's the greatest. And I promise you, it is not lost on us. Moreover, all of us, Billy West, myself, John DiMaggio, Frank Welker, Tress McNeil, Tara Strong, Maurice, all of us have the same beautiful reaction that I am, that you folks take the time to want to speak to us. It is not, I mean, we're good at our job, don't get me wrong, but it's not false modesty.
And you
we
said
are
that
utterly blown away at how kind folks are to take the time
the
to
show
want to talk to us.
The show spans generations, and actually I've even gone back and rewatched and gotten things that I didn't get as a child, like the fingerprints joke.
Oh, for sure.
Example.
Well, and I love it. When I was actually earlier on, now that you've brought him up, I was going to make a Billy West Futurama reference. There was a great one in Futurama where they're on the moon and Bender's there juggling rocks, and he's like, "Hey, I'm doing 1/6 of the work and I'm getting paid my full pay." And he's like, "Hey, it's kind of like being a voice actor. This is great."
Exactly. Let me tell you something. I lived that today at the most profound level. And by that, here's the following story. I mean, I've done, 2,500 half hours of animation, and every now and then you get a show where it's just a gift. You walk in, your character literally has a line or two, and your dollar per word ratio is like through the roof, right? But today, I had the most profound example of that. And at 30 odd years of doing this, I do Curious George for PBS.
Okay.
And it's a really beautiful little show. It looks just like the book. It's just beautiful. And I've been working on it for years. So one of the characters that comes back on and off is this pigeon, and it's just literally a woo, doing a pigeon coo. That's it. So today I walked in, and they said, "Okay, Rob, page 3," and I did my little coo, literally one coo, and they said, "Okay, thanks, buddy. Have a good day." And I thought, are you freaking kidding me? I just got my day player rate for literally going coo. That's it. No words. It's literally a pigeon sound.
I hate you so much right now.
Oh my God. And the only thing that I hope mollifies you a bit is that I get how freaking lucky I am. I'm like, are you kidding me? I walked in, I hung out with Frank Welker and Jeff Bennett, all these world-class talents.
Nice.
And they give you free food, and I said, woo, and they give me a check, and I'm gone. I mean,
so obviously
it is the most.
That's the obvious follow-up question that has to be asked is, okay, so someone out there thinks they're hilarious, thinks they can do voices. How?
Right.
How does one do that?
Well, it is. It really is kind of small V, big A. That is voice acting, and the reason that you guys like Mo and Billy West and DiMaggio and all those guys, and June Foray and Bill Scott and Jay Ward and Mel Blanc, the reason that you and I love those characters are because they were really performed at a high level. Now, to be sure, Chuck Jones and Bob McKimson and Matt Groening and all those folks, they're incredible with their character development visually. But these folks are really wonderful actors, and it's not just about the funny voice. So if a guy or a girl comes to town and says, "Wow, I can do a great Bart Simpson or a great SpongeBob," that's fine. But you can get John DiMaggio to improvise in Bender all freaking day long, and John will remark and make references in the context of Bender that don't necessarily make sense to John DiMaggio. But that's because John is a fine actor.
Right.
Billy will do the same thing as Fry, and that's the parlor trick. It's not just about the funny voice. And I'm not saying that for self-aggrandizement. I don't need to impress anybody. As long as I can pay my rent and my kids' college is paid for and all that, I'm cool. But the fact is, that's why these folks last. And that's why a guy like Frank Welker at 70-odd years old is still kicking it, because he's a marvelous actor. And when you are able to take the really well-written scripts and create a character voice and create a soul for these characters, that's why Futurama works. It's not really any different than Frasier or MASH or any other, or The Simpsons, or any well-executed piece of television. And all of the people whom we're discussing are marvelous actors. The difference is they don't, rely on their face or an eyebrow lift to create a moment. And I know this from my own, empirical, so to speak, data of 30 years of doing it. Because when I'm in a room with the people we've mentioned, and then a movie star walks in, and Billy West starts to riff, or Tress MacNeille starts to riff, you see the blood drain out of their faces, not because they're like, I can't do that. Well, they didn't hire you to do that.
Right.
But I can't even tell you how many times I've seen people whom you would all recognize, and they're marvelous talents, but they hear these world-class voice actors go nuts, and it's just like, holy shit. I mean, I don't do that. But moreover, when you look at a guy like Maurice LaMarche and you see what he's done on Futurama, and you're all enamored, as I am, by the brain, and you think, yeah, but he won back-to-back Emmys for Futurama.
Yeah.
And he's not even the star of the show. It is a wonderful way to make a living, and it is always inspiring, because these people just kill it over and over and over and over again. And I just did a session today with Zelda Williams, who's Robin's daughter, and she's a really gifted little girl. But she was talking about how much her dad loved Pinky and the Brain, and how much, oh my God, they would watch Johnny Bravo together and Invader Zim, and Robin just would freak out and going, oh my God, listen to this song about all the countries of the world. Who knew? But Robin, of course, had that facility as well. So everybody loves cartoons, but it is not a secret why the people whom we've been discussing continue to work. And so that's the message to young people coming to LA to say, I really want to do voice work. Come, it's a giant sandbox, and I didn't know a soul when I got here. Just understand that it's not about just the funny voice, because you're going to still be auditioning against Maurice, Billy, and DiMaggio, and Tom's Kenny, and all these other people who still love to work, and they still create new stuff every day. Every day.
So Rob, we got to wrap things up, but one more thing I wanted to add. It says in your bio you've done over 1,000 commercials, which is astounding to me.
Yeah.
But you did probably one of the more famous commercials in my lifetime, which was the Aaron Burr Who Shot Alexander Hamilton Got Milk commercial. What was your play on that? I don't remember the vocals other than the guy with the peanut butter going Aaron Burr. What was the rest of that?
It was the first commercial in that group, and I didn't know that it was going to be a campaign. Sean Whalen, I think, was the on-camera talent, who has got a great face, as you recall. He's a real great character actor. This was, 15 years ago. I do remember it was directed by Michael Bay.
What?
And, I went in and they're like, okay, Rob, they showed me the commercial, and it was a very clever spot. And they just wanted this sort of a little bit of pretentious kind of classical music, highbrow guy. And so we did, 7 or 8 takes. And you guys do radio, and if you're hired to do commercials for folks who advertise on your station, you do a bunch of spots and you kind of forget about them.
Yeah.
And then every now and then one really pops, and somebody says, oh my God, I didn't know that was you on the commercial. I love that thing. Well, that's what happened with this, because of course Michael Bay became Michael Bay, And then that got milk thing sort of came and went. But then with the advent of YouTube, all that stuff shows up, and one thing leads to another going, hey, man, did you know that the guy that's Pinky or Raphael or Carl Weezer on Jimmy Neutron, do you know that he's the guy that was in that Got Milk commercial? I never would have remembered that. And it's just this wonderful sort of bit of my own nostalgia. And now people come up to me and they go, hey, man, would you say, for $10,000, who shot Alexander Hamilton and that famous duel? And I'm sitting there going, are you kidding me? But they get a kick out of it. I get a kick out of it because it was Michael Bay.
That's hysterical.
And he became Mr. Transformers, So look, you're talking to a lottery winner, man. And honestly, if I were to drop dead, hopefully after Motor City Comic Con, but if I were, I've had a hell of a run, and I have been so fortunate in so many ways. And I must say, not the least of which is having been able to been reared in Michigan. I love that state. And, man, I eat, sleep, and breathe the Wings and the Lions and the Tigers and that. And I count my blessings every day to have been born and raised in there. And I got to summer my mom and dad had a summer home every year. We were on Lake Marguerite and Grayling, till I was probably 20 years old. So, man, I'm a lucky guy, and to be able to start out in Michigan, it just doesn't get any better. So thank you for chatting with me.
Absolutely. Rob Paulsen, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll look forward to seeing you at Motor City Comic Con, and we'll be the two guys.
Hey, the big question, do you drink?
Great. Yeah, I drink. I love vodka. I do, and I do drink.
All right, so we're the idiots that run up an enormous bar tab trying. We're the idiots that run up an enormous bar tab buying drinks for all the gas that we like. So.
Oh, and what's cool is when you trust me, you get Pinky a little bit tanked, and it gets really fun. Let me tell you.
Challenge accepted.
But
we'll have the task cam.
The other thing is that you guys, if you got a recording something or whatever, please, if you want me to do any bumpers, you come along. I'll be happy to do whatever you need.
Done.
We'll take you up on that. Hey,
okay.
We sincerely appreciate the time, and thank you for calling from either the airport or your hot tub. We couldn't figure out which one. But
yeah, I'm calling. I'm getting a pedicure in my G5 on my way to my house right now. So, yeah, man.
Hello, nurse. I can say it now because I can see the Water Brothers water tower right from here.
So anyway, thanks a lot, you guys, and go Tigers. Take care.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate seeing you in a couple weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Paulsen, seriously, look him up on Wikipedia. It's astounding how many voices this man has. Seriously, the voice of my youth.
And what a cool interview too.
Well, and all those we didn't even talk about the Transformers voices he did.
No.
So hey, before we take a break, quick, who else do we have on the line that just called in?
This is Garrett. Calling in early.
Hey, how are you, man? Do you mind if we throw you on hold quick, or do you want to call back in 15?
You want me to call back in 15? I'll call back in 15.
Yeah, because we've got you queued up for 9:45, and I just want to make sure we don't step on you or anybody else.
All right, sweet.
All right, cool. We'll talk to you in 15, man.
Bye.
All right, so hey, why don't we go ahead and take a real quick break? We'll grab drinks, do whatever, and then we'll hop back in. We're going to be talking with, let me pull up who we're going to be talking with. I believe his name is Robert Pope. Yep, Robert Pope, comic book artist with Looney Tunes, Peanuts Gang, and a bunch of other stuff. We will talk to him just on the other side.
This is the IT and the D Show.
And we'll be right back.
IT and the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit. One beer at a time.
Hi, I'm Brittany Daniel from The Game, and you're listening to IT and the D Show.
ITinthed.com.
Welcome back to IT and the D Show. This is episode 246, post Penguicon, pre Motor City Comic Con edition, recording here live, Studio One on Podcast Detroit in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. Bob the Sales Guy, Dave the Geek, Nuri the FNG, Randy, I do the Twitters Walker. Find us online, itinthed.com, where you'll find all the things. And Dave, I think we got a special guest on the line.
We do. So we've got Mr. Robert Pope, who's a comic book artist. He'll be at Motor City Comic Con not this weekend, but next weekend. Thankfully, we have a down weekend to where we can do as little as possible, and probably we may be awake, and our livers will have recovered by then.
We can only hope.
Yeah. First off, thanks for taking the time to call in. We really appreciate it. How's it work? How is it working with Looney Tunes and the Peanuts Gang?
It's a lot of fun. It's very surreal. That's the best way to put it. There are afternoons where you realize you've spent a ridiculous amount of time trying to make sure that you got Charlie Brown's curly Q hair thing on this bald head right, or Foghorn Leghorn's comb, and you think, wow, there are people who have to do math for a living, and this is what I'm worried about. So it really is just kind of surreal, and every once in a while you have to think to yourself, if I'd have managed to get into a time machine and gone back, to high school in the late 70s, early 80s, and found myself and said, at this point, you'll be drawing these characters for a living. I think, you just wouldn't believe that it was possible. It seems like some sort of surreal dream.
Well, yeah, I mean, those are two banks of characters right there, Looney Tunes and Peanuts, that are pretty much iconic standards. And it's funny because we actually, we just chatted with Rob Paulsen, who's a voice actor that'll be at Motor City. And he was so like just upfront. He's like, look, hey, I'm just the voice guy. I'm not the guys that draw it. I'm not the guys that ink it. I'm not the guys that make them actually move or do anything. All the credit in the world to those guys.
Well, it's funny because, of course, without people like Rob, you have nothing to work from as an animator. And what a magician he is as a voiceover guy. I worked for about 5 seconds on Animaniacs back in the early 90s out of a company out of Chicago, or rather out of Homewood, Illinois, called Star Tunes. And I went and animated a little bit of Slappy Squirrel and some of the Warner Brothers and Sisters and stuff like that. And all of the energy the animator gets is off of the voiceover, off the recording.
Well, so I guess that's a good question. I mean, it's sort of a chicken and egg thing. Like, which does come first? Like, do you get the voice to then draw from, or do they get the art that they then voice to?
I think 9 times out of 10, and it's hard to say because I think it's very fluid. But in many cases, or in most cases, the voiceover personality would largely just be given a script and maybe a drawing or two showing some storyboard action, but not necessarily really fleshed out drawings that said, this is the way that this character is going to act. And they're left with the animation director in the booth or someone who is doing the voiceover direction. And then that stuff is handed back to the animator. And when I started animating, we used to, way back in the late 80s, we would get a cassette tape of the read and sit and just listen to it over and over again to get the nuance and everything. And in some cases, if we were reading 35 millimeter mag track on a moviola, we would sit with a Sharpie and note the phonetics, the vowels and consonants and stuff like that, and really get to feel it.
Oh yeah, to get the mouth right, yeah.
Yeah, and to get the way that the actor was breathing and the enunciation and everything. So, Rob's a genius at creating characters, and if you're doing your job right, it'd be hard to screw him up as good as he is.
I think that's really amazing as seeing both sides of that, because there's genius in both.
Yeah.
Right? There's genius in taking a script and bringing it to life, and then there's genius in taking the voice and actually breathing the visual element into it. I don't think one is probably easier than the other. I think they're both arts and sciences. It's incredible on both sides.
Yeah, it's an interesting hand-in-hand thing because, of course, obviously, if you look back at the Warner Brothers cartoons, each individual director had a certain approach, and you end up with these beautiful drawings, funny drawings, especially like Bob McKim. Bob McKimson was one of my favorite Warner Brothers directors, and he did Foghorn Leghorn and the Tasmanian Devil, and a whole bunch of other stuff. He had worked as a key animator under Bob Clampett, and so his stuff is very elastic and very rubbery, but it plays very well to Mel Blanc's voices, particularly Foghorn Leghorn and things like that.
and it really, like you said, it's a wonderful marriage of the two things. And even going over to the Charlie Brown stuff, when Charlie Brown Christmas was done in 1965, up to that point, outside of some incidental animation for Tennessee Ernie Ford, his show, and some Ford Falcon commercials, no one had really figured out what those characters were going to sound like. And they did such an amazing bang-up job of getting the right child voices to fit those characters so well that, of course, anytime we think of Charlie Brown or Linus or whoever, we hear in our heads the voices that we heard on those early shows.
Yep.
So speaking of Mel Blanc, I'm just kind of curious as to the process. I mean, they're entrusting you with carrying on a lasting legacy that'll probably forever be with us, and then long after we're gone. Bugs Bunny and Mel Blanc's and Chuck Schultz's legacy. I mean, what's the write-off process?
What's the pressure like?
that too, but in terms of
nerve,
right? Hey, I drew Bugs Bunny, and someone says, "Hey, I did it wrong." I mean, who's that overseeing? Because I don't know. I'm just kind of curious as to what that process looks like.
It's very interesting because with the Warner Brothers characters over the years, the comic books that have been produced and the animation that has been produced. The overseeing has been different licensors and stuff. And when Warner Brothers was absorbed in the big, Time Warner merger back in the day with Cartoon Network and all those other ancillary companies, the material that would normally just be run through DC Comics for review is now also run through licensing people at Warner Brothers to make sure that it's on model and represents, the way that the characters are being merchandised around the country and stuff like that. So when you draw a comic book with Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck or Speedy Gonzales, or right now I'm working on one with Speedy and Roadrunner the Coyote, it goes through, passes over many hands and many different sets of eyes, look at it and review it and make sure it's okay. It slows the process down a great deal, but it also ensures that everybody is kind of comfy cozy with the way that it's looking. The Charlie Brown stuff goes through a similar number of reviews. Charles M. Schultz Creative out in Santa Rosa, Peanuts Worldwide up in New York. So it can take a long time to get any of this stuff approved. So it's very important that everyone is doing their best to draw on model and very sensitive to making sure that they're not imparting their own style over the existing styles that they're trying to mimic.
Just sing the national anthem. Don't make it your own.
Exactly.
So hey, I know we've got a time cap on this. So let me ask you the obviously important question: what sort of material should people expect to see and be able to buy when they come see you at the booth at Motor City Comic Con?
I will have many of my comic books, Scooby-Doo comic books, Cartoon Network comic books, Looney Tunes comic books, Charlie Brown comic books. I'll have some of my children's storybooks that I've done with the Charlie Brown gang. I'll have original pieces of art. I'll be sketching, doing all kinds of stuff, and I may or may not sing.
So there is a drunken karaoke thing that happens that we may or may not have purchased professional quality championship wrestling belts for that may or may not come to that con, that may or may not be present at that con. Hypothetically speaking, sir.
If there's a Ric Flair like feather boa involved, then maybe it's worth talking about.
Woo!
Exactly. Woo! Exactly.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for taking the time to call into the show. We really appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you next weekend.
Groovy. You guys, thank you very much for having me.
All right, so appreciate it, man.
Robert Pope, comic book artist, Looney Tunes, Peanuts. Actually, the kids' books, with us having kids, I'm going to definitely snag, I tried to introduce, I actually had the old Chuck Schultz, it was hand-me-downs from my cousins. One of the original books from the 50s, almost like an encyclopedia of all the Peanuts comics. So, trying to, you got to raise the kids right.
Exactly. Yeah. So we do have our next guest on the line.
I'm here.
And since Randy has corrected us, we'll just go ahead and let Randy take this one on. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. Here I am thinking that I'm so special but now I know I'm part of an assembly line of guests tonight.
You're still special to us, especially Randy.
Absolutely.
All right.
If you don't know that voice, we have Garrett Wang on the line. You might know him as Harry Kim from Star Trek Voyager. Appreciate definitely having you on.
Thank you. Happy to be here. And I know it's, this is a podcast, right? Or radio show, one of the two.
Podcast.
It is a podcast. We do go out live,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things where it's mostly, it's like every other podcast. It's all about the syndication. But we're a podcast that gets a couple 100,000 listeners. So we're not like just sitting in our basement screwing around. Well,
oh, no.
I'm
familiar with your popularity, but I'm just saying that because it is a podcast, if I called in with a different voice, I could have fooled you all. So, for instance, if I talk like George Takei,
I swear to God, I was just going to make a George Takei joke because of the way your voice drifted, and I was like, nah, I won't make that. That'd be that. Nah. And then, sure enough, that's where you go. Beautiful. I can tell we're going to get along fine.
Decay always rhymes with gay.
Perfect. So let's talk a little bit about Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah, let's do it.
How much would you say your character Harry Kim is, or you're like your character Harry Kim? He's kind of a quiet, introspective guy. Are you like
no, not. I'm completely opposite. That's
okay.
That's one of the reasons why, honestly, one of the reasons why I love doing cons and I've done as many conventions as I have is just because I get a chance during my Q&A and my panel to allow the fans to get a little bit of who I am outside of the character. Because I think a lot of fans make that mistake. They watch a show and they assume that the actor is exactly like that character, but that's not me. I'm more comedic. I have a lot more fun. So.
Cool. Would you say that you, a little backstory in end of season 2 episode Deadlock, your character actually died and was replaced by a carbon alternate version of your character. Did you end up changing how you portrayed the character after that, or were they pretty much identical?
Nerd.
Did we lose him?
Oh, I think we did.
Oh no.
Randy, your question.
You made him hang up, Randy. Good job.
Aw, we lost him. Oh, here he is. Okay, if Randy's question annoyed the hell out of you, we'll tell him to shut up.
I don't know. I think it's my headphones that were doing some weird stuff because it just cut me off and then some music started playing from my iTunes library. So I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah.
So my
kind of weird. So
yeah, my question was about season 2 episode Deadlock. Did you portray the new character differently or pretty much identical?
No, pretty much the same. I mean, my big complaint about that episode was, when you see Ensign Kim #1 die, the real Kim, the first Kim, B'Elanna Torres is there, right? So Kim gets sucked out of the airlock, and Torres is like, Harry! And then she taps on her comm badge, and she goes, Torres the captain. And Janeway answers, she says, go ahead. And so at that point, Torres says, Kim's dead, Harry's dead. And then it cuts back to Janeway. She looks up for a couple of seconds, and then she doesn't say anything except for, tell me about deck 8. She just completely glosses over the fact that Kim is dead, which, that kind of pissed me off.
I was like, yeah, thanks for all the love and support.
Right.
Really, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Were there other scenes you were disappointed with?
No, that's the main one right there. I mean, I know that she knew that Kim was probably something was going to happen to him. There was another Kim involved, but I felt that her response should have been more like, towards the captain, go ahead, Harry's dead. And she should have said, never again will I hear him play the clarinet. poor Harry. I loved him so. Oh, B'Elanna, what about deck 8? See, that would have been a little bit better.
So Garrett, let's take a huge step back. I mean, how'd you get your start? Because, I mean, getting on Star Trek, that's got to be, top of the food chain in terms of getting on a show, series, etc.
And reading through your bio, you were going to school for pre-med, switched majors a couple times. How did you transform that into acting and getting such a great gig?
Well, I was the token Asian American going to med school. And then I decided that that really wasn't for me. And I realized that, all my life growing up, my idol was Rich Little. If you guys remember who Rich Little was,
loved him.
He could do
Yeah.
Thousands of voices. Yeah, amazing. So, I always thought...
I remember sneaking past my parents to watch his HBO comedy special.
Yes, there you go. So I loved Rich, and I loved Saturday Night Live, sketch comedy. So that's always been something that I've enjoyed doing. So after I decided not to go into medicine, that's when I started taking theater classes, and I just started taking that seriously. And my parents were pissed as hell. They're always like, "What are you doing? How dare you?" My mom was like, "Give me one example of a Chinese man that's made it in Hollywood." And I said, "Bruce Lee."
Name 3 more.
Skip a beat. Yes, she didn't. Yeah, no. She did. Her response to Bruce Lee was, "He's dead. Pick another." Although my mom doesn't sound like Janeway, but I just made her sound like Janeway for a second. So.
Well, that's why you're an actor, not a voice actor.
There you go. So it was tough, but I'll tell you what, Voyager was my 32nd audition. And in the scheme of things, I think it's harder to get on a show that lasts longer than one season than it is to get on the Detroit Pistons or any other major league, any other sports team, like a professional sports team. I think it's easier to get on.
Well, I mean, let's be honest.
A show that lasts for that long.
I mean, the Detroit Lions at this point are just running a promotion where the first 52 fans that show up get to get jerseys and play. I mean, that's
ouch. Oh, you long-suffering Lions fan! My God.
So hey, just to shift gears from acting for a sec. One of the things that caught my eye about stuff you've been involved with is you kind of dove behind the scenes and took over the Trek track for DragonCon.
I did.
So what was it like being in that role? That so you're kind of playing both sides of the fence there for a con.
Yeah. You know what it was? The first time I got invited to that convention, it was 2003, and I loved it. It's an amazing event. It's fantastic. It took 6 years for them to allow me to come back again. I kept asking each year after 2003, "Can I go? Can I go?" They said no. So at 2009, I'm on stage at my Q&A, and the guy that's in charge of Trek Track, I kind of look at him and I go, "It'd be cool if I could come back and help assist you," as a joke, and he rolled his eyes, but he got fired that year. So I sent an email in to the con promoter, and I said, "Listen, what do you think of me being your Trek Track director? What if I volunteer as doing that position?" And he's, is this an April Fool's joke? Because in the history of convention, no actors, no voice actors,
right,
in front of camera actors actually say, "Hey, I'm going to work for the convention," or "I'm going to volunteer for the this job." And so they were shocked, but I was serious. I said, they said, "Why do you want to do this?" I said, "Because I love this convention. This is the only way that guarantee that I can be there every year." So they said, "Okay, we'll give it a shot and see how you work." So 2010 was my first year. 2018 is coming up. So I've been doing it every year since 2010. I do all the programming for Star Trek. I host all the panels with all the major Trek actors that are there. So it's been a blast.
That's awesome.
See, in our opinion, Star Trek is kind of like The Walking Dead. You go to the bathroom on one episode of either show, and you could do cons for the next 20 years. It's a beautiful world. It's absolutely amazing to us, the fandom that still exists. Like in Walking Dead, like what character was that? Like, oh my God, they're at a table and it's packed. Like, oh my God.
He was a zombie in the woods in season 1, episode 4 for 8 seconds. Yeah.
Right. Well, you're so true. You're so right to say that. But it's funny that you use the example of if you go to the bathroom on the show, because in Trek nobody goes to the freaking bathroom.
I was just going to call him out on that. It's like the TV show 24. In all those boop beep moments, he never gets stuck in traffic. He never has to go poop.
He never during the commercial break.
Not once.
And tomorrow, in next week's episode, he hits the snooze button 18 times.
Right. But no, seriously, like if you're an actor and you had one line, like you walked up, you told the captain something like, shields are down, and you can go and have a convention career from that one line, literally. Crazy.
It's even that, or like an 80s rock band. If you had 2 hits, you can tour until you're in your 70s.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
right.
Just talking about the celebrities you've interviewed, you did something with Stan Lee in 2012. What the hell was that like?
Yeah. So after I got into, the Trek Track position, I started just offering my services as a celebrity moderator of, different panels or at different conventions. So I moderated a panel in Calgary, at the Calgary Comic and Entertainment Expo, and I offered my services. I said, "Look, if anybody cancels because they're sick, call me." So Saturday, they said, "Hey, someone canceled. I said, what time? 4:00. I go, who? Stan Lee. I go, Stan Lee, Chinese Stan Lee or Stan Lee?
Like the guy that owns the laundromat down the corner, or yeah.
I got to tell you, I usually don't fanboy, but 2 times in my life I fanboyed on stage, and that was one of the times. Sitting, 2 feet away from Stan Lee, and at the before we even start talking, he patting me on my knee, going, "Okay, I have a little hard time hearing, so it'd be really nice if sometimes you could repeat the questions to me. Is that all right?" And I look at him, yes, Grandpa, I will do anything you want. It was so, oh my God. I had tears of joy. I know people were sitting in the front going, God, they're tweeting, oh my God, Garrett Wang is crying right now. It was just amazing. So much fun.
How Kevin Smith got him in the movie Mallrats to talk about Hulk's wiener is beyond. I don't know what had to get done to get that man to get in that role. But what an amazing guy.
So the way you talk about cons and being involved with them, running the Trek track, it sounds like you actually really like to go to them. Is that why you continue to do cons now, or how's it working out?
I do.
What do you, like I said, queuing up a guest for Penguicon next year, Nuri?
Sorry, say that again.
So Nuri, the gentleman that just asked you the question, the reason why we know him is because of a con that we've been going to for the last few years that he's been heavily involved with, called Penguicon, that does a lot of great stuff, has a lot of really cool guests of honor. In fact, that's honestly why we're a little brain dead, and if we're a little I haven't been drinking, and yet I still can't say Trek track without going really, because I think I got a combined 5 hours of sleep across the entire weekend. But yeah, so I was like, well, it just sounded like Nuri was trying to cue you up as a guest for a future year's Penguicon.
Oh yeah, man, sure, no problem. I'm down with that. I just think that for me, if I wasn't an actor, if I didn't do Star Trek, I would be on the other side of the autograph table. I would be attending cons already as a fan, So for me to be there, to be asked as a guest, that's just icing on the cake. And Motor City Comic Con, the last time I was there was 2008 or 9 probably. So it's been a good 9, 10 years now.
It's gotten a little bigger, just a little, bigger.
It's grown a lot. It's grown. There's a new building now. There's a restaurant hotel attached to it. So
so you would have been here when. God. Yeah, you were still here. You would have been there when they were still at the Novi Expo Center then.
Yeah.
So
it's not there anymore.
No, there's a huge new facility, the Suburban Showcase. It's friggin' amazing.
There's a bar about 100 yards to the right, and
that's where you'll find us holding court and just buying all the drinks for all the guests that we like.
Oh.
Nudge, wink, wink. You're in.
Okay.
So I've got one last Voyager question. Were you jealous that it wasn't Harry Kim who hyper evolved into a lizard and mated with Janeway?
Hell no. The funny thing is, I talk about that being one of the worst episodes, but Robbie McNeil loves that episode. Tom Paris, the actor that played Tom Paris, and the thing is, he has a valid point. He really does go through this crazy progression of being, human, not totally human, a little bit more lizard, and then totally lizard. There's a lot of, it's not easy to act like, half lizard, I suppose. So he's really proud of that episode. But I just think it was preposterous watching Janeway lizard and Paris lizard with their baby lizards crawl into the swamp at the end of that episode. It was like, what?
Well, awesome. It was great talking with you. I think we've got another caller queued up, so we're going to have to say goodbye, but we will definitely see you at Motor City Comic Con next weekend.
Right on.
Go ahead.
I look forward to meeting you guys if I can.
No, absolutely.
Oh no, we'll be finding you. I assure you, it's what we do.
Right.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time. Yep, you too. That was Garrett Wang. Harry Kim from Star Trek Voyager he sounds like a partier. I like. He's a good guy.
I feel like we're batting 1,000 so far, and people are going to wind up drinking with.
I know, right?
So hey, why don't we go ahead? We'll take a quick break. Bathroom smoke, whatever. We'll dive in with our last guest, Steve Lieber, and we'll go from there.
Cool. This is the IT in the D show,
and we'll be right back.
IT in the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit. One beer at a time.
Hey guys, it's Time Hawk, Bruce Leroy from The Last Dragon. You're listening to the IT&D show.
ITinthed.com.
Welcome back. Thanks for hanging out with us. What an awesome show so far. This is episode 246 of the IT and the D show, post Penguicon, pre Motor City Comic Con edition.
Trek track is going to be my new pre-show.
We're hanging out here in Studio One in Podcast Detroit in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. This is Bob the Sales Guy. That's Dave the Geek. Nuri the FNG's in the house, as is Randy. I do the Twitter's Walker. Find us online, itandthed.com, and do us a favor. Give us a like on the socials and subscribe to us everywhere fine podcasts are sold.
All right, so hey, we've got our next guest from Motor City Comic Con on the line. Motor City is going to be next weekend, and you know one thing, I actually didn't even get into this at all. So let's just take a few seconds to preface. So Motor City Comic Con is basically Michigan's largest pop culture event, gathering people of all ages, young to adult. This is the 29th year that it's going on, with more than 250 media and comic guests. They've got folks like Val Kilmer. I love that they put Val Kilmer as, you know, hey, by the way, he was in Batman Forever. I want to Val Kilmer about Real Genius. I wanted that, and Top Secret. That's about it. Lucy Lawless, Stephen Amell, Wallace Shawn, who's the guy whose name I always forget because, well, he's the inconceivable guy. Jenna Elfman, Kate Flannery, Oscar Nunez. It's going to be, honestly, it's just going to be an amazing show.
Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds.
I know. It's the 40th anniversary of Superman. Margot Kidder's going to be in town. Tom Welling, who played him on Smallville, is going to be there. They're expecting more than 55,000 guests. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's going to be Friday, May 18th, 12:30 to 7 p.m., Saturday the 19th from 10:30 a.m. to 7 p.m., Sunday, May 20th from 10:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Event tickets can be purchased at MotorCityComicCon.com. And of course, don't forget, as we've mentioned several times throughout the course of the show thus far, you will find us in the hotel bar afterwards, drinking excessively, breaking out the championship wrestling belts for the drunken karaoke that will literally be happening.
You mean during, not and after.
True. Yeah. Well, hey, we do have a booth we have to man at some point. But yeah, so that's going on. So with that in mind, again, let's go ahead and dive back in with Mr. Lieber here. So talk to us a little bit about Whiteout.
Oh, thanks for asking. Whiteout is a comic that's just hit its 20th anniversary. It's supremely proud of this book. It's a crime story set in Antarctica that I was brought aboard for back in 1997. At the time, I thought my career had wound down quite a bit. I'd worked on a whole lot of comics, but nothing had really grabbed an audience. Then I got this script from a writer named Greg Rucka, who had never written a comic book before, and it was the best thing I'd ever read. Unbelievable, terrific story. I jumped aboard thinking that, well, maybe if I'm done with comics, if things haven't worked out, at least I'll get to draw one great story. It was like a Hail Mary pass that was caught in the end zone. The book was a huge success, completely changed my career, was made into a movie, which no one's all that thrilled about, but they wrote a lovely check, God bless them.
Well, hey, and I'm not going to lie. I'm actually going to try to find the movie because Kate Beckinsale. That's why.
Tom Skerritt, come on.
No, Tom Skerritt, Top Gun. That's all I need him in. Kate Beckinsale, I will take wherever I can get her.
Right.
Yeah. Most interesting thing for me with the movie was just learning how the sausage gets made. It was almost a 10-year process from first inquiry to last box of popcorn on the floor of the theater.
Really?
Yeah. And lots and lots of directors attached, lots and lots of scripts. At one point, someone decided to put an alien in it. They took that out. Every goofy cliche you've ever heard about how things work in Hollywood happened.
Hey, let's go ahead and make this an X-Files episode out of nowhere. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, I got to visit a movie set, which I'd never done before. I got to see drawings that I'd done at my drawing board at 3 a.m, turned into full-size sets for people to walk through.
Now, did you go and sell the script, or did they come to you and say, "Hey, this is a great story. We want to adapt this thing"?
Even within a few weeks of the comic coming out, the writer's agent started hearing little inquiries. It got a lot of buzz immediately. It was just a rock solid, terrific, atmospheric story. And then, inquiries are one thing, but then it takes years for one negotiation to happen, and that falls apart. Then another thing gets negotiated, and that falls apart. And then finally, we wound up in the hands of a production company that Joel Silver, Lethal Weapon and all those,
right,
had made. and I don't want to dismiss other people's efforts. I'm a cartoonist, not a filmmaker. But sometimes the too many cooks thing can happen, and you wind up with CSI Antarctica.
Right. Did they let you on set and hang out, or were you kind of?
Oh yeah.
Okay. How cool was that?
That was very cool. I got to see. I met Kate Beckinsale.
Because Kate Beckinsale.
Right.
Yeah. Tiny person. I felt like some giant lumbering oaf next to her.
I feel like we would all feel that way.
Right.
Yeah. I visited the interior sets, which was in Montreal. The exteriors they shot out in the middle of Lake Winnipeg, where you can go. It freezes over in the winter, so it's just solid ice, and you could drive a truck out onto it. You could have 360 degrees of nothing but winter landscape and no power lines that they have to take out and post. And I was very glad not to be invited to that part of the film. That was just a nightmare.
So you were talking about some of your early work. I noticed you did stuff with characters like Hawkman. What's it like getting roped into kind of some of iconic character world?
Oh, it was thrilling. I had actually studied under a guy named Joe Kubert, who's the artist most associated with that character, Hawkman. And so I just felt the weight of all these years of mentorship on my shoulder. It's like, okay, the guy who taught me how to draw is the guy who really defined this character. And now here I am with 1 year out of art school, and I'm going to try to live up to that. It was intimidating, but it was a lot of fun. And when you're working on a monthly comic like that, there's not a whole lot of room for rumination or for contemplation, because you have to churn out a ton of art. So you staple yourself to your drafting table, and then 2 years later you come up for air, and hopefully you haven't gained more than 30 pounds.
Well, you mentioned Kubert, and you went to the Kubert School for Cartoonists in Jersey.
Correct.
How did you transition out of that and into your career? There was a couple of years, I think you spent 3 years before you drew Hawkman. But what's that process like, coming out of art school, a very specialized school for cartoonists, and then actually getting into the business?
Well, it was initially nightmarish. Here's what happened. I came out of art school in 1990. It's the pre-digital era, so what I produced is a whole lot of paintings and drawings and pieces of paper with art on them. And I shipped them all home via UPS, and they lost the shipment.
Oh no!
So 3 years of artwork just gone down the tubes, missing entirely. So I have nothing. I have no way to prove that I know how to draw. So I have to go back and start rebuilding my portfolio from scratch. And I took a crappy telemarketing day job just to pay my bills while I'm trying to rebuild all the artwork. And a couple of months into that, I got a phone call from somebody I had known at school saying that she had taken a job at a drugstore and was doing inventory in the basement when she found a 55-pound box with my name on it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, complete coincidence. It was all my artwork that had somehow been delivered to a drugstore in New Jersey instead of my home. She sent it to me. UPS managed to deliver it to my house that time. I took it out to the very first place I showed my portfolio. I got a paying commercial art job, and I really haven't been out of work since. So for a few years, I did work for advertising agencies. Basically, anything where someone would pay me to draw a picture, I would do it. And got a lot of my rookie mistakes out of the way, and just learned basic professional practices. And in the meantime, just sent out new portfolio samples continuously to anybody who could ever consider hiring me for a comic. My strategy was, the first day of every month, I'd mail out a new 8-page comic to every editor and every assistant editor and every art director in the business. And the first month, no response. The second month, no response. After 3 or 4 months, they started to notice that I was making deadlines before I had any deadlines. that kind of made it safe for them to try out a new kid on something, because it looked like I'd show them that I wasn't someone who's going to flake or burn out.
So,
okay.
I see your wife is from Michigan. She's from Ann Arbor. Do you visit the area often?
It's been a while, but
way to
I
be a
love
stalker,
coming
Randy.
back.
Well played.
It's on the internet.
She and I met in Ann Arbor when she was in grad school at U of M, and I was just living there because it was the place to live. But I loved Ann Arbor, loved visiting Detroit, and I've been wanting to come back for a while.
So, I mean, out of all the things I'm looking through, just what you've done illustrations on, from Batman to Detective Comics to
I'm kind of digging
Swamp
this
Thing to
I'm kind of digging the Superior Foes of Spider-Man thing.
Right.
It looks kind of cool.
I was kind of, I was kind of going, do you have a favorite? Is it like picking a favorite child that you just can? Or
Oh, definitely. Two of my favorites are Superior Foes of Spider-Man, which you just mentioned there. That's kind of like, imagine, it's a comic about 5 of Spider-Man's least effective enemies. Imagine it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but with spandex on.
Right. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was great. I'd gone through more than 20 years as a cartoonist without anyone ever asking me to be funny. And finally, I got on what was essentially a sitcom and got to prove that I could make people laugh out loud looking at a comic stage. The writer and I did a follow-up project that's just our own called The Fix, and that's our current project. And that's about the 2 worst people in Los Angeles and the drug-sniffing beagle who can bring them down.
I see it's rated M.
Oh, it's just a delight to work on. And the writer I work with, Nick Spencer, he's got like this endless palette of horrible human behavior he's able to describe, and there's always one more new way for a character to be a jerk that we're able to put into the comic.
So, when you're at Motor City Comic Con, are you going to have basically samples of all your wares? Are you drawing sketches? What all are you going to have available?
Oh, I'm going to have a big stack of books on my table. The Fix, Whiteout, Underground, which is a cave thriller I drew. I'm going to have examples of my original artwork, which is a real treat for people who like to see how these things are made. All the ink and lines on paper and minute corrections and hand lettering and things that go into making a comic. I'll have prints. I'll be sketching. I'll be signing. There's always young artists who want to bring their portfolio up to me to show, to get feedback, and that's a pleasure and a responsibility, both that I'm really, really glad to be part of. When I was a young artist, a lot of more experienced artists took the time and went through my stuff and gave me great feedback, and now I get to do that for other kids who draw.
See, that doesn't happen. Like, I've never had somebody walk up to me going, "Hey, would you look at my code and just take a look at this for me?"
You listen to my podcast, tell me if it sucks. No,
we get that.
Right.
So, hey, I know we're running short on time. Any place people can find you online ahead of time to get some more info about you before next weekend?
SteveLieber.com or on Twitter at Steve_Lieber.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
All
Appreciate the time. Looking forward to meeting you in a couple of weeks.
It's a real pleasure. Talk to you then, gentlemen.
All right,
Absolutely.
talk to you soon.
Thanks for the time.
All right, so to it, let's go ahead. We'll take a break, and we'll dive back in with what will ultimately eventually be the first segment of this show.
I was going to do the wrap-up right now, but that's all right.
All right, well, I can edit myself out.
All right.
All right.
All right, thanks, Steve Lieber, for hanging out with us.
Hold on. For those of you who are listening live, just hang in there. We're going to pretend to end the show. We're not really ending the show. It's just a thing we have to do, so run with it.
All right, that was Steve Lieber, author of the book Whiteout. We're going to wrap things up for this pre-Motor City Comic Con post-Penguicon episode 246 of the IT and the D Show.
Track.
We'd like to thank Rob Paulsen, Robert Pope, Garrett Wang, Steve Lieber for those awesome interviews. We really appreciate it. And also like to thank our sponsors, F-Secure, Udemy, RX Bar. Appreciate keeping the lights on behalf of Bob, Dave, Nuri, and Randy. Do us all a favor. Drink up your drinks. Get your phone numbers. You don't got to go home. You just got to get the hell out of here. See you next week. Drive careful. Beat it.
The
emergency destruct system is now activated.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of your women.
Long live Flash! You've saved your Earth. Have a nice day.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Nice shooting, son. What's your name? Murphy. Make the run. The run.
Game over, man. It's game over.
It's over, Johnny. It's over.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.
I can't say no, and I don't really want to, so.
Well, especially with the back doors open.
Yo! Hold up! Time out! Time out! Y'all take a chill. You need to cool that shit out. And that's the double truth. Rude.
Bob loves it in the can.
I hope this was as much fun for you as it was for me.
That's why I like it in the can.
So on the truth.
Fear me.
My job is to make sure this program is morally upright and cultural and wholesome.
Shut up, Mimsy! Shut up, Mimsy! Shut up, Mimsy!
Why would Buick put their cars next to the Bentleys? Why? That's not marketing.
The alphabet.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, I can't take that position.
That analogy sucks because it's right.
Because you're getting your 8-track tuned up.
Are we at a break yet? Yeah, so now I'm just doing stupid stuff to make me laugh.
Venture capital is not the end game.
When are we going to talk about me?
Jane, you ignorant slut.
It's my show. I can say what I want.
Kiss my ass, go home, unplug, get off the goddamn internet. You are everything that is wrong with the internet right now.
You're so white right now.
I'm the whitest guy in the room. Just explain it to me.
I love this city. I was banging on the Wang.
Really? Should we talk about this? Tag team it. Should I keep going or should I stop?
Can I just say, it's been great being on a show that talks about Mickey Rooney dying for 20 seconds and then poop for 10 minutes.